come from? Why is there a rooster? Good morning and happy... It's perfect for today's show. Good morning and happy Thursday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroy Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Must have fat-fingered that rooster somewhere. That's all of a sudden, I don't know why that's so funny. All of a sudden, there's a rooster and there's a, woo, a cock-a-doodle-doo. Nobody's above the law. It's true. We're going to be talking a lot about the, hey, guys. We have something to celebrate today, the beginning of something to celebrate today. There have actually been arrests made in Minneapolis. Hey, there we go. 16 agitators. Got to start somewhere. Okay? Got to start somewhere. I'm not going to be one of these people. Not enough! What about the Epstein files? I understand, we're all not getting exactly what we want, but you don't always get exactly what you want. I will say I'm happy to see that 16 agitators were arrested, including a very... I don't think this person went viral on purpose, but a very viral Somali refugee, migrant, whatever, was arrested. So, 16 agitators. So that's good. So we're going to go into, we'll get into that because that is at least a good start. All right. Is that where we want it to end? No. Do we only want to see 16 people arrested? No. Is it better than 0 people arrested? Yes. Right. And so we will take some of the, we will take these wins and we will celebrate them and we will praise the Department of Justice for a job well done in those cases. Look, we'll see how those cases ultimately wind up, but you got to start somewhere. And so that's where they're starting. Tom Homan this morning had a press conference from Minneapolis. And I think he was very, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but solid. It was a solid press conference. It was a lot of things that we'd heard before, but I will say that Tom Homan stepping in there has been somewhat stabilizing, right? There was a lot of chaos. There's still a lot of chaos, but he was somewhat stabilizing. Speaking of stability, so there was a video that went around yesterday of Alex Preddy, the left's new hero, the left's new martyr, right? Oh, he was just a peaceful legal observer. And his video came out, and then people were like, that's not him. That's somebody else. His family came out and said, yeah, it's him. You guys see what he did? Now, this was not the day, I want to be very clear, because I did see some people doing this, and this is not good. The video that came out yesterday of Alex Preddy is not video from the same day in which he was shot. Okay? So let's not say, oh, he did this, and then he got shot. It's not from the same day. But, in my opinion, that actually makes it worse for Alex Preddy. Now, if you're lying about the video, that's a problem that you have because you need to be a clickbaiter. But the fact of the matter is this video I'm about to show you about Alex Preddy actually makes this situation worse because this happened on January 13th. And he was shot, I believe, on January 24th or 25th. I think it was the day that the snowstorm was all over the place, right? So January 24th and 25th is when, I think that's when that whole thing happened, the 24th. So this was 11 days before he was shot by a member of Border Patrol. Which, again, in my opinion, makes it worse, which is why, it's funny that the rooster popped up at the beginning of the show. So it's funny that the rooster popped up at the beginning of the show. Nobody's above the law. If they had enforced the law, Alex Preddy would still be alive. Watch this.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis. showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd.
All right, you get the point there, because that's just going to... Does that look like a peaceful protester to you?
No.
Is that what peaceful protesters do? They kick taillights out and they spit? Yeah, whatever. Middle finger. I consider the middle finger peaceful because you're not... because at the end of the day, what is it?
That's
right?
freedom of speech.
It exactly is what it is. The middle finger is freedom of speech. I don't want to see anybody arrested for giving the middle finger, okay? You know, that to me would be grasping at straws. If you're standing on the sidewalk and you got federal agents doing something and you're out there just flipping them off, you're not impeding. You're not. You want to say it's harassment. You want to split hairs. You can split hairs. So flipping them off and yelling at them is. Do I think it's good conduct? No. Is it illegal conduct? Is it conduct that is not protected by the First Amendment? I wouldn't go that far. However, when you go in the road, when you start kicking the vehicle, when you start spitting at them, that's not protected by the First Amendment. That is not peacefully protesting. That is not, as the First Amendment says, the right to peaceably assemble. That's not what that is. So this now raises the question, right? 11 days before he was shot. Now you start to wonder, hey, is ICE or is Border Patrol, are they familiar with this guy? Because he's been doing this for a while. The other thing is that guy was a nurse with a temperament like that. I wouldn't want that guy, treating me for anything, the common cold, let alone like anything serious. I think he was an ICU nurse. I mean, right? Like not the type of person that I would want in the intensive care unit. That's the other one. But number three, really most importantly here, in my opinion, is if they had just, they took him down to the ground. He clearly broke a law. He was no longer peacefully protesting. 18 U.S. Code Section 111, which is the, impeding a federal officer. He was using force. He did damage to the federal property in that vehicle, right? Which I believe can enhance the sentence up to 8 years, right? He was not using assault or was not using a deadly weapon, so he doesn't get the 20-year enhancement. But you could make the case out of that clip that he could have gotten the 8-year enhancement, at least the baseline, statute of up to a year in jail. The bottom line is, had they arrested him and kept him in custody, who would still be alive today? Alex Preddy. You see, enforcing the law saves lives. And it would have saved his life in this case. But instead what they did, because for whatever reason, right? And it was either the feds who decided not to do it because they're not there to take people like that in. And obviously the state was not arresting anybody who was impeding federal law enforcement. Instead what they did is they let him back out and he got himself killed. He got himself killed, okay? He's not a peaceful legal observer. He's not a peaceful protester. He's not an innocent bystander just recording ICE. He was an agitator and a troublemaker. Now, should he have lost his life on Saturday, January 24th? A discussion and a debate can be had. Was there a way that his behavior, had he altered his behavior? Is there a way where he could have survived that encounter? Absolutely. And to me, For me, it's not about, oh, he brought a gun to a protest. He was clearly looking for trouble. He doesn't need the gun to demonstrate that he's looking for trouble. He's obviously a troublemaker. We're seeing that now in the new video that's coming out. So it's not to me about, did he bring a gun to a protest and what does that mean? I don't really care. I think you should be allowed to do that. And if there's a law in Minnesota that says you're not allowed to do that, I think that's unconstitutional and should be challenged. That's not where I'm focusing my side of the argument, okay? Once you are being detained by law enforcement, whether you believe you did something wrong and okay, they got me, or you believe that this is a wrongful detainment, the way to survive that encounter is, unfortunately, and people say, oh, well, you should stand up for yourself. You can stand up for yourself, but don't do it while you're armed, while you have agents piling on top of you. People are blowing whistles and screaming. You're dealing with the fog of war at this point. Just go peacefully. You will have your day and your time to prove your innocence. The time, the place, the day, the moment is not right there. All that's going to do is make your situation worse. Had he just said, crap, I got myself in a bad situation here. You know what, officers? Do what you've got to do. Let's talk this over in a place where there's not a bunch of people blowing whistles and screaming and yelling, and we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. Instead, he resisted arrest, which is illegal everywhere. Everywhere. It is illegal to resist arrest. You are not allowed to resist arrest. And his resistance created a scene, created a tense situation with Border Patrol, with all the agitators blowing whistles, screaming and yelling, getting in their faces. Fog of war. He was armed. That did not help him. Again, that doesn't mean he's doing something wrong in terms of being armed. The wrongful behavior of Alex Preddy on the day that he was killed was the resistance, the resisting arrest. That was the wrongful behavior. And if there is indeed a law in Minnesota that says you can't take a gun to a protest, then technically, letter of the law, because it's there, that was wrongful behavior. I may not agree with the law, but you have to get the bad law overturned. You can't just pretend like it's not there. You're in Minnesota, you live there, you have to abide by their laws, even if their laws suck. Right? He could very easily have been alive today. His own behavior, and by the way, had they detained him and arrested him on charges and kept him in custody on charges of impeding and assaulting federal officers, he'd still be alive today also. But I think the narrative that this guy was some sort of peaceful, innocent bystander, legal observer, whatever they want to call him, that's been blown to bits like a Venezuelan drug boat. Okay? As Bomba says in the chat, our laws do work. Our laws do work if we enforce them. It saves lives. Law enforcement saves lives. All right. Quick break here, and then we're going to get to Tom Homan's press conference. He had a press conference shortly before we came on today. So I'm going to get to a couple clips from Tom Homan this morning. I think you'll enjoy them. I think it's nice to kind of to touch on them. The press conference is still quite fresh, so we were able to get a few clips from that. We'll talk about the arrests that were made in Minneapolis. 16 agitators arrested. Donald Trump created a brand new position, the Federal Fraud Czar. That is a very interesting development, and I think a welcome sight for many of us who want to see answers and accountability for the Somali fraud scandal. ICE, we're gonna rehash a story that we talked about earlier this week. ICE is seeking custody of an illegal alien who has been accused of raping an 11-year-old girl in Georgia. Wait till you hear this story. We touched on that earlier in the week. We're just going to give you some new information there. And a big move. You heard about this yesterday. The FBI raided Fulton County's election headquarters in Georgia, apparently in connection to a probe into the 2020 election. So very nice. Very, very nice. We will see We'll touch on all that and more. Also, Marco Rubio, highlights from the hearing he had yesterday. He put on a masterclass yesterday. So we got a lot of clips to get to, a lot of video to get to. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends over at OFP Farms. It's OFPFarms.com, Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com, OFPFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN. They are nestled in the scenic foothills of the Sierra Nevada Mountains, in California. OFP Farms is more than just a farm. It embodies a tradition of quality and care. They've been proudly operating since 2014. OFP Farms goats are lovingly raised, roaming open pastures and breathing fresh air, which ensures that the milk produced is of the highest standard. Now, from their creamy goat milk soaps and moisturizers to the nourishing tallow-based balms, each product is thoughtfully crafted with your family's well-being in mind. They are committed to sustainable farming practices, providing natural and wholesome products that you can rely on. Whether you're in search of gentle skincare solutions or you simply wish to indulge in the purity of farm-fresh goods, OFP Farms warmly invites you to explore their website. That's OFPFarms.com. Check it out. OFP Farms' mission is to bring a piece of the farm into your home, nurturing your family with the finest that nature has to offer. Be sure to visit OFP Farms' website and use the code Sean, SHAWN. Receive 10% off of your entire order. That is OFPFarms.com, Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com. You see it on your screen right there. OFPFarms.com, promo code Sean, SHAWN for 10% off. That's OFPFarms.com, promo code SHAWN for 10% off. Let's jump into, and by the way, this is it right there. Goat Kisses lip balm. What flavor am I on still? This is still milk and cookies. Is so good. It's perfect. Darlene Dempsey says, I had to go to court in the 70s for giving a cop the finger. I hope you won that case. I hope you won that case, because that to me is First Amendment. That to me is First Amendment. So there you go. All right. Tom Homan this morning in Minneapolis. I think he provided a bit of stability, right? You know, there were questions about, is this a retreat? Is this a withdrawal? And I stopped short of going down that road because I don't think that's what it was. Was it a reshuffling of the deck? Yes. Did Donald Trump move some pieces on the board? Yes. Did he retreat, withdraw, and give in to the left? No. So let me play for you a couple of clips here from Tom Homan. This is from this morning's press conference, and this is Tom Homan going over just how successful the southern border has been since Donald Trump took office.
Under the president's leadership, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, which means less women are being raped, less children are dying crossing that border, less fentanyl is getting in this country to kill Americans, less known suspected terrorists are crossing that country. And we don't have 2 million unknown gotaways. We don't know who the hell they are. A secure border, we have stronger national security. A secure border saves lives. When 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being sucked to by members of the cartel? How many people aren't dying making that journey? How many Americans aren't dying of fentanyl overdoses? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked in this nation? The data proves it, and we can find that data. So God bless this great nation. God bless Minnesota. We can do better. And I think your local and state leaders meeting with me, we made some significant gains, significant coordination and cooperation, and you're going to see some massive changes occurring here in this city.
Massive changes apparently on the way here or there in Minneapolis. Darlene Dempsey said in the chat, by the way, she was fined $50 for giving a cop the finger. That's bullcrap. That's bullcrap. I'm a First Amendment absolutist, and I believe that is protected by the First Amendment. It's an obscene gesture. Give me a break. Give me a break. Should have taken that to the Supreme Court. Imagine taking a $50 citation to the Supreme Court. I believe I'm for just... Darlene, if you paid that $50, you did the right thing just to get it over with. But I think they did the wrong thing by citing you for whatever. I don't know what they say, disorderly conduct. I don't know. I think that's covered. I think giving the finger to a police officer is covered by the First Amendment. Anyway, let's move on. Here's Tom Homan. This is the worst first, rest next. You know us. We've been talking about that for a while. That's been our favorite thing. Worst first, rest next. Tom Homan basically says that here, that they're going to be going after the worst of the worst first, which is the right thing to do when you're in a triage situation. You do not. You don't treat people with a paper cut before you treat them with a life-threatening injury. You don't treat people with a paper cut before you treat people with a life-threatening injury, is what I'm saying, right? You don't, you got somebody with a small cut on their finger. It's like, oh, okay, you're first priority because you got here. No, that guy's bleeding out of his torso because he got stabbed by some deranged lunatic on the subway. Oh, we're going to treat him first because if we don't treat him first, he may die. You're not going to die from your paper cut, right? So you go for the worst of the worst first, but then you go and you get after the rest next, and that's exactly what Tom Homan is describing here, what he described in his press conference this morning.
All operations will be targeted, but the prioritization are going to be criminal aliens, public safety threats, and national security threats. I've met with Marcos and his staff. We got a lot of them. We got a lot of them to keep us busy. So that would be our focus.
So that is enough that's what, there is not going to be a focus on people who have no other crimes except for their status.
If you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table. But prioritization doesn't mean but you forget about everybody. So let me say this. If the message we send is you can enter this country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can have your due process, show up in court, not show up in court, get ordered removed, don't worry about it. Unless you commit a serious crime, you're good to go. If that's the message we send to the world, you're never going to fix this problem. The most vulnerable people in the world will make that dangerous journey like they did under the Joe Biden administration. Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. And again, a significant increase in sex trafficking. Because when they did that and opened those borders up saying, we're not going to detain you, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to fly you to the city of your choice, put you in a free hotel room, give you 3 meals a day, and give you work authorization, we're just going to bring you in. And when they did that, they sent a message to the whole world, you can come and do this. And what happened? They overwhelmed the men and women of the Border Patrol, where many days 70% of agents were pulled off that line. 70%. You don't think the criminal cartels had a field day with that? They created gaps for the cartels to do their activity. And that's why you've seen the rise in fentanyl overdose. That's why you saw the rise in sex trafficking. The 2 million plus known gotaways, why did they pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less, turn yourself in, get released within 24 hours? You get a free airline ticket to the city of your choice. We're going to give you a free hotel room, and we'll give you free food and free medical care. And you're going to get work authorization in 6 months. Why did 2 million people choose to pay more not to take advantage of that giveaway program? They didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. That scares the hell out of me. And it does still.
So there's Tom Homan saying exactly what we need to hear here, right? Exactly what you needed to hear, or what I needed to hear. Yes, we're going to go after the worst first. That makes sense, okay? Who do I want out of my community first? Do I want the rapist, or do I want the person who's here illegally and is kind of hiding from people and the only thing that they did that's illegal is come into the country illegally? I want the rapist out first, but now once the rapist is out, the person who came in here illegally goes next. That's the point. And what Homan is saying is we will not be setting a precedent that if you came into this country illegally and you committed that crime, it is a crime. It's a misdemeanor on its first offense. It's a felony on its next offense. If you committed that crime, it is still a crime. You will still be held accountable, but we're going after the worst of the worst first. And that is a logical, common sense approach. And I'm fine with that approach, as long as we are diligently following through on that game plan. Worst first, rest next, perfect. Worst only, the rest can stay? No. But that's not what this administration is signaling is going to happen. The administration is saying, we're going after the worst of the worst first. But if you came into this country illegally, that is still a crime, and you still will be held accountable. He even said it at the very beginning of that clip. If you're illegal aliens, it's still on the table, right? Still on the table. Here is Tom Homan from this morning talking about ICE They're out there. They're doing their jobs. They're enforcing federal immigration law. That is their job. They are the agency that is tasked with doing that job. That's all they're trying to do here in Minneapolis, and everybody else is just getting in the way.
In my meetings with Governor Walsh, A.G. Ellison, and Mayor Fry, as well as state and local law enforcement, again, I appreciate they all acknowledge that we do have federal immigration laws in this country that have been passed by Congress, and that ICE is in fact a legitimate law enforcement agency charged with enforcing those laws. We're not making this up, folks. ICE is enforcing laws enacted by Congress. They're a federal statute. That said, I'm not here because the federal government has carried this mission out perfectly. First thing I said to senior staff when I walked in here is what I told you earlier. I didn't come here looking for photo ops or headlines. I come here looking for solutions. I do not want to hear that everything's been done here has been perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. And what we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book. The mission is going to improve because of the changes we're making internally. No agency or organization is perfect. And President Trump and I, along with others in the administration, have recognized that certain improvements could and should be made. That's exactly what I'm doing here.
You know, it's some people will say that, you know, this is a little bit of a sign of weakness by saying that, no, you know, that the operation isn't perfect, but it's not weakness. It's the truth. Is there anything that's perfect? No. Nothing run by human beings is perfect. It's impossible. There's no perfect police force. There's no perfect administration. There's no perfect actor. There's no perfect athlete. You know, you could talk about baseball. Oh, well, this guy threw a perfect game, but did he? Did he throw only strikes, right? You know, right? Was it really perfect? It was as close to perfect as possible, right? So to acknowledge that there are imperfections is not weakness. That's the truth. It's the truth. It's self-evaluation. It's transparency. There's humility there, right? You know, he's not out there, we're not doing anything wrong. Now, I'm not saying ICE is doing everything wrong here. But what this administration appears to be doing, again, I may not agree with this tactic. This is how I'm reading it, is they appear to be kind of extending the olive branch, saying, all right, you know what? We're deadlocked here. I'm willing to work with you, and I'm willing to make very simple asks. And they're doing this now in the public eye. And I think once you start to see Walz and Frey kind of go back on their commitment to turn down the temperature or go back on their commitment to work with the federal government and this administration, they're going to make that case, of course, in the court of public opinion and say, look, we tried. They're not playing ball. They're not playing ball. All right. Next, here is Tom Homan essentially laying out how dangerous things have become for ICE agents in Minneapolis. Listen to this.
Can you please be specific about how many ICE and how many Border Patrol agents are currently operating in the state?
I think we're near around 3,000. There's been some rotations. Another thing I witnessed when I came here, I'll share this with you. I met with a lot of people, a lot of the agents. They've been in theater. Some of these people have been in theater for 8 months. So there's going to be rotations of personnel. Hopefully less now that we have some agreements. Maybe we can make it more efficient and safe. But they've been in theater a long time. And so, you know, there's rotations happen all the time to get people out here and go home, get some rest and see their families. Day after day, can't eat in restaurants, day after day, having people spit on you and blow whistles at you, day after day, having all these threats at you, day after day, having people trying to interfere with you, day after day. You know, they're human. So, you know, we've got to rotate these people, and we've already rotated some. But my main focus now is drawdown, based upon the great conversations I've had with your state and local leaders. Again, I'm not a fool. I'm not walking away without seeing this put in place. But I take the word of the people I met with. I think they're honest, and I think they're good brokers, that they want public safety protect them. They also want what's happening in the city to go away.
All right, so Tom Homan, like I mentioned, I think he's doing this in the public eye. You know, he said, I think the people I met with are honest. I disagree, but I know why he's saying that. He's not going to come out there in front of a camera. He doesn't have the luxury of being able to do what we do every day and go, Tim Walz and Jacob Frey, they're clearly liars. They're clearly not honest. He can't say that, all right? He has to assume in this moment that they're negotiating in good faith, even though they're probably not. Right? They're probably not. I don't think he's being played. I think he's saying, look, guys, we came to an agreement. I'm going to honor my side of the agreement, but I'm not going to be played. And if we don't see the progress being made here that we agreed to, then the agents are all coming back and we're doing this all over again. But I do think that Tom Homan has been a stabilizing voice there in Minneapolis. Would I have sent him in? I would have, no. No, I would have absolutely declared the Insurrection Act and cleaned it up my way. That's why I'm not the president. Okay, here's Mo. Right? We got the honk that, hog, okay?
Good morning, Mo.
Good morning, Mo. One more from Tom Homan calling out the Democrats' hypocrisy here about the violence from the illegal aliens. Apparently, everybody that is here illegally, that no issues. We don't have to criticize them. ICE are the bad guys, et cetera, et cetera. Listen to this. It just kind of highlights the hypocrisy here.
I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us. Where were they the last 4 years when the number of women and children sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they when over 4,000 aliens making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again, and that's what we're doing.
So there's Homan, saying, hey, Democrats, where were you when people were being raped? Where were you when people were overdosing on the drugs that were coming across the border? This was all a very solid, I believe, stabilizing press conference this morning. And we will see what comes of it in Minneapolis. Again, is this the path that I would have taken? I probably would have declared Insurrection Act and handled this the hard way. But again, I commend the president and the administration for expending all available options before having to use force. That it is nice to see the government behave that way. It is nice to know that that's, the leadership. Again, sometimes you gotta punch a bully square in the mouth. I think it would have been justified had they done that, but let's see how this works. Because this is obviously, we know this is how Donald Trump operates. He's a negotiator. He's a deal maker. He wants to get along with everybody. He wants there to be peace. He wants there to be cooperation. And this was a very interesting way to attempt to achieve that result. I think thus far, Tom Homan has done a great job in his role. We'll see how he winds up running and how he ends up executing his role here as the point man in Minneapolis. But those were a couple of clips from his press conference. I thought he was great, and I had no plans to do the first half hour of the show on Homan, but he did have the press conference this morning, and it was early. It was like 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, so it was early. I figured, let's get you a little bit of that. So, all right, let's take a quick break. Let's get to word from our friends over at Silent, slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/SHAWN, silent.com/Sean. Folks, your phone is a tracking device between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. They're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint, and they don't ask. You know what they do? They just go on and they just take it. They just take everything. They take your data. They take all your information. They listen to your conversations. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, including cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. You know what that means? No signal. It means no tracking. It means no remote access. It means no breadcrumbs. This is the same technology that is trusted by special operations teams worldwide, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now, all of that technology is available to you. So you can protect your family, you can protect your freedom, and you can secure your digital footprint. All you got to do is drop your phone in a silent Faraday sleeve, and it is off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbody, Silence patented technology gives you control of your privacy. Just visit slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/SHAWN, to save 15% and get free shipping on qualifying orders. That is Silent, slnt.com/Sean. Protect your rights, secure your data, and stay one step ahead. Silent.com. Silence the chaos. Silence the chaos. And go silent today. It's slnt.com/Sean, slnt.com/SHAWN. All right, 16 agitators arrested. Here we go. Here we go. 16 agitators arrested in Minneapolis. How do you like that? This is finally, okay, now, I know there's going to be complaints on the other side of this thing. Oh, okay. You know, you got 16 agitators, but you didn't get the big fish and the Epstein files and all the big politicians. And who cares about the low-level people? Guys, gals, you gotta start somewhere. You can't clamor for arrests and then get arrests and then say, not those arrests, okay? Like, you gotta start somewhere, and you work your way up. You work your way up. You get these low-level people. Some of them are going to want to save their own skins. They're probably going to rat out other people, and you follow the chain all the way up until you get the big kahuna, right? You get the lunker that's floating around the pond, that big-mouth Billy Bass that you've been looking for the entire time, okay? So this is a good start. Is this like, okay, good, job well done. Everybody's doing their job again. We love the Department of Justice. No. Is this a good start? Yes. Yes, this is a good start. Okay? 16 of these agitators have been arrested in Minneapolis. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced yesterday that 16 people have been arrested in Minnesota for allegedly assaulting law enforcement in the state. This comes as the Trump administration has been carrying out immigration enforcement operations in Minnesota, with agents being targeted by anti-ICE agitators. Pam Bondi says, I'm on the ground in Minneapolis. Federal agents have arrested 16 Minnesota rioters for allegedly assaulting federal law enforcement. People have been resisting and impeding our federal law enforcement agents. We expect more arrests to come. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Nothing will stop President Trump and this Department of Justice from enforcing the law. That is, of course, her desk has done that on several occasions. But again, I'm not going to sit here and we're not going to undermine and undercut what the Department of Justice is doing here. 16 arrests in Minneapolis is a great start. You get these low-level people, and now I'm sure they're all ticked off, right? Because, well, I was trained to go and impede federal law enforcement, and where's my help? Why am I paying the price for something someone else told me to do? This could demoralize the lower ranks of these agitators. And by that, I mean, who is the next person who's willing to go to jail for what their superiors in the resistance movement say they should be doing? Who's the next person on the left who's going to sacrifice their lives for the greater good? Do any of these people who are showing up in Minneapolis at these anti-ICE riots, do any of these people actually want to die? I don't think so. Do any of these people actually want to face consequences for what they may know, maybe they don't know, is illegal behavior? I don't think so. These 16 people who were just arrested in Minneapolis, do you think any of them engaged in this activity thinking they were going to be arrested? I don't think so. This could send a message to the rest of the rioters, or this could be the beginning of a message that is sent to the rest of the rioters. Like, hey, you know, the people who told you to come out here and be on the streets, who are conspicuously absent from these riots, right? They're like, well, a general doesn't fight on the front lines. Well, you're a coward, okay? If you're organizing these anti-ICE riots and telling people to get out there and then you don't show up yourself, you're a coward. You're, as they say in the South, you're all hat, no cattle, okay? So this could send a message to a bunch of these low-level agitators, rioters, and people who are thinking about joining up with this quote-unquote movement. Oh, my goodness, I might get arrested. I'm going to stay home. I'll root them on social media. I'm not going out there in the streets. Consequences, that's the best deterrent. We've talked about that on a number of occasions. You're now seeing at least the beginning of consequences for these 16 people, and according to the Attorney General, there are more arrests on the way. Good. I don't care how many it takes. Once you start meeting their behavior with harsh, in some cases, brutal consequences legally, you will start to see less illegal behavior because nobody actually wants to go to jail for this cause. Nobody actually wants to go to jail for this cause. Nobody wants to die for this cause. Nobody wants to be the next Alex Preddy or the next Renee Good. So these arrests that we're seeing in Minnesota are a major step in the right direction. Cami R22 says Don Lemon needs to be held accountable for his actions. I completely and totally agree. And on yesterday's show, we talked about how the Department of Justice fumbled that case because they went over the Chief Justice's head in Minnesota and went straight to an appeals court without taking their argument to him first. And so now they have to abandon that process and go straight for a grand jury indictment, which it sounds like they're going to do. Okay? Among those arrested yesterday in Minneapolis was a person who went viral last week. I don't think she thought she was going to go viral. But do you remember Vic DiBitetto is the bread and milk guy? With the snowstorms. I had to get the bread and milk. They said snow. I got to get the bread and milk. He's got a competitor now. This is the bananas and rice girl. She was arrested. She was arrested as a part of those 16 agitators. So if you have not seen this video, you must have been living under a rock. But this is the bananas and rice girl. Take a look.
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American. But it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. People don't really see, like, people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're going to get what I mean.
You're going to get what I mean. No, nobody gets what you mean. You know what we got to do? That was like, can you eat bananas and rice with this word salad fork? Huh? Because that kind of sounded like when Kamala Harris was like, the children of the community are the children of the community. Remember, community banks are the banks of the community.
Like you could feel her brain aching.
Her brain
trying to form a thought.
Her brain
the cogs were like tick, tick, tick.
Her brain was screaming in terror. Just stop talking! I thought it was kind of like, I'm not going to lie. I thought it was kind of like mean to be like, oh, the average Somali IQ is 68. And like, I don't think it's mean anymore. The truth hurts.
The truth?
The truth hurts. That woman, well, I'm not going to say it's bananas and rice, but, being Somali in America is more than just bananas and rice. And most people don't realize you can eat bananas with rice, but it's, you know what being Somali in America is like? It's like eating bananas and rice. What the does this mean?
You know what I want right now?
Bananas and
I
rice.
kind of want to try bananas and rice.
I'm going to try. We have to try it. But I'm sorry to everybody who watched that, who just literally burned brain cells. Like, ugh. And we're told, how the fire truck, Emerald says Sean needs a spoon for word oatmeal. How the fire truck, because it's a word that starts with F and ends in UCK, but is legal to say on the radio. We're not on the radio, but, we try to not use the F-bomb. I don't think I've ever used the F-bomb on this show. I've dropped a couple of bad ones before when I'm really mad, but I don't think I've F-bombed the show before. How the fire truck, can you tell me that person is going to be somebody who is a net positive for this country? When she what was it, a 45-second clip? She said bananas and rice 4 times and started off by saying, it's a lot more than bananas and rice, and then ended it by saying, it's bananas and rice. What the hell is going on? What is going on? I don't know. All right.
The lights are on, but no one's
the lights are on. But there is not a soul around. She just left the lights on, and that's been an empty room for a very, very long time. Echo, echo, echo. He's like when you knock on her head. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, quick break. Let's get to a word from our friends at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
I'm sure by now you've heard that silver went up 160% last year. 2025. I bought this silver for $22 an ounce. It's now worth almost $100. And we and experts think that silver is going to get up to about $200 an ounce. Palladium and platinum were stuck at $900 an ounce for like over a year, or in that area. Now they're up over $2,000. Gold is approaching $5,000 an ounce. If you have ever thought about putting some or all of your retirement or nest egg or savings or just buying bullion in precious metals, now's the time to do it. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Go leave your name, your email, and your phone number. Schedule a time to talk to the folks over at Golden Crest Metals. Get your free gold guide today, and make sure you tune in on Saturdays at 1 p.m. for the Crest Report, where we dive deep into precious metals, why they're doing what they're doing, and where we expect them to go. It is like insider trading. Nancy Pelosi knows about that. We don't. It's just inside information. It's not even really that. It's called knowledge. Get yours today and get a part of gold, silver, palladium, and platinum and diversify your portfolio today. goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
It's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Thank you for being a part of the show, Golden Crest and Jeremy, of course. A lot that we didn't get to because of the home and stuff, so we're going to spill that over to tomorrow. I want to get to Rubio. I think Rubio was phenomenal yesterday in the hearings. We will get to this is an interesting, though. I want to do this before we get to Rubio. Donald Trump appoints a new federal fraud czar. This is a very interesting move. This is a new position that he has made. Says, I'm pleased to nominate Colin McDonald to serve as the first ever Assistant Attorney General for National Fraud Enforcement, a new division at the DOJ, which I created to catch and stop fraudsters that have been stealing from the American people. My administration has uncovered fraud screen. Let me see. I'm trying to get to the something I can read here. My administration has uncovered fraud schemes in states like Minnesota and California where these thieves have stolen hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars. Colin McDonald is a smart, tough, and highly respected America First federal prosecutor who has successfully delivered justice in some of the most difficult and high-stakes cases our country has ever seen. Together we'll end the fraud, restore integrity to our federal programs. Congratulations, Colin. Stop the scams. So it's an interesting development there. Somebody tasked with, and it will specialize and zero in on all the fraud. So we'll see. Of course, he finds things, goes to Pam's desk, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe things will get better at the DOJ. We can hope and we could try and pressure them, and we can try and support all the good things, and we give them pats on the back when they do good things, and we give them criticism when they do bad things.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Here's Marco Rubio yesterday with Senator Tammy Duckworth. It's a long clip. Probably not going to get through all of it because it's going to drive me crazy, or maybe I'll start a little like halfway through it. I want to be called in front of a Senate committee because I just want to see how I'd react in this situation. Because Marco Rubio knows a lot of these people, but I would not be as kind as he was. Watch this.
Grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl or cocaine are not threats to the United States is not living in reality and certainly does not reflect the opinion of most Americans.
The president already said that he was ready to put American troops in Venezuela again. So we're internment law.
No, but we're talking about two separate things here. So you're talking about the state of Venezuela or are describing the regime. And we're talking about, but what the president designated.
Invoked the Alien Enemies
I know,
Act.
Senator, but let me be clear with you. No, but what the president was talking about are these gangs that have, and these narco-trafficking groups that are waging war on the United States. There's no doubt. These groups have waged war on the United States. They have waged, for example, Tren de Agua is not just a criminal gang presence in our street. It is a criminal gang directly responsible for narco-trafficking.
The Trump administration has acknowledged that the vast majority of the men it rounded up and deported to torture under this law had no criminal records whatsoever.
We didn't torture
Independent, over 75%.
Who did we torture? We haven't tortured anybody. We've arrested people that are members of gangs and we've deported them. We don't want gang members in our country.
Have found that many of the men were here legally. If the administration is willing to lie about who it's targeting under this law, what protections do totally innocent people have against abuse? Again, I want to ask you, will you advise the president to rescind his invocation of the Wartime Alien Enemies Act?
No, of course not. I mean, these are people that are threats to the national security of the United States. But I've described this in hearings in the past, including
so you're saying that we're at war?
We are absolutely. When it comes to narco-trafficking groups and criminal gangs that are targeting the United States for criminal activity,
we're in a state of war.
There's no doubt about the fact that we're confronting them in a warlike setting because they're waging war on us.
And do the Geneva Convention
They're waging war against us and they're enemy combatants as a result of it. And the fact of the matter is that we are confronting these irregular groups, and that's one of the great challenges of the new century in this hemisphere in particular, is that these non-state actors who possess state-like capabilities in terms of their weaponry pose a grave danger to the United States. I don't think any American would dispute that we have cartels that pose a threat to the national security of the United States.
With all of the other laws of when it comes to warfare. I mean, you're saying that he can invoke this wartime power.
No, I'm saying, you're asking me, I'm here to discuss foreign policy and what's in the realm of the Department of State.
Well,
I think your questions are better directed at the Department of Justice.
Enemies Act,
but I would tell you that.
Which is a wartime, which is something that
but you're asking me a question
that can be invoked during wartime. It's only been invoked during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II. It's only been invoked 3 times, and this president is invoking it.
Okay, you're asking me a question about the domestic application of a law that's best directed to the Department of Justice.
It's not a complication.
Because you're asking me something to opine on something that's in the realm of the Department of Justice in terms of its domestic application. I can tell you that the United States is most certainly confronting terrorist and criminal organizations operating in our hemisphere that pose a grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl
All right. The amount of times that she kept talking over him, I would have thrown something at her.
My brain is vibrating.
I would have thrown something at her. And you know, and I probably would have cussed him out and been like, how stupid are you? Sir, we require decorum. I would have replied with, you've spent us into trillions of dollars of debt. Your decorum, okay? Why do I have to respect you? You work for me. I want to get called into one of these committees one day. I have to. It wouldn't go well. It really wouldn't. And I'd probably be held in contempt of Congress and have to pay some sort of fine. But I would not be able to sit there while that just kept talking. I would have chucked something at her. Or I would have sort of stood up and said, can this lady shut the up? Are you kidding me? So, I don't know. Maybe there's something, that they need.
And her voice is so annoying.
Oh, man, I would have thrown something at her.
Oh, yuck.
Sir, you need to be. I would say, you know how stupid you are? Sir, you can't say. I can say whatever the hell I want. You've spent us into trillions of dollars of debt. You work for me. You don't tell me what to do. I tell you what to do. Goodness gracious. It would have been. Here, Magamo. I would have taken this. I would have taken this hog in and thrown the hog at that other hog, Tammy Duckworth. Here's another little, this is a funny one. Tim Kaine thought he was going to be cute. Oh, Donald Trump said Iceland. He meant Greenland. And Rubio smacked him across the face with a little bit of truth. This is good.
We're not mad at Iceland. They haven't cost us any money. The president just mistook the two countries for each other, correct?
Yeah, he meant to say Greenland, but I think we're all familiar with presidents that have verbal stumbles. We've had presidents like that before. Some made a lot more than this one.
Nice try. Thanks. All right. Thank you. I thought he did well. Let's.
Quiet Piggy. I forgot about Quiet Piggy.
I forgot about that too.
Because she kind of looks like a little winker, you know? With a Quiet Piggy. I mean, the antics. Because I guess there's like rules. You're not supposed to like mouth off in front of them. Why? What? Why can't I mouth off in front of a congressional hearing? Why? I'm sorry. Who works for who in this relationship?
She sounded like she was mouthing off
sorry.
a little bit.
You've spent us into trillions of dollars of debt. You're not doing a damn thing right now. And I'm supposed to, maintain decorum? No, thanks. Sorry. No, you're going to get, please, to anybody who has any sort of congressional hearing, create a hearing do it. Let's do a hearing on swattings. I would love to testify in front of a congressional hearing regarding swattings. Please? So that I can interact with some of these half-wits, dumbasses that are in there. It would be the time of my life to just get in front of them and just have a blast. I promise I won't actually throw something. I'll say, I want to throw this at you. I'm not going to do it because that's a crime.
Yeah, you shouldn't hit retards. So.
You're not. Call her to testify too. She'd have a lot of fun. All right, that's it. Jeremy Harrell coming up next here on rumble.com/LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. LFATV.us is the website. LFATV.us, LFATV.us, LFATV.us. Take a look at the LFA TV website and, of course, the LFA TV store, as you see right here on your screen. You can click on it, scroll down over the right-hand side, says visit the store. You'll see everything that there is to offer. We're under 50 days away from spring, so get your beach stuff and your summer stuff and your warm weather stuff right here on the LFA TV store. There's a bunch of good stuff here. LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store. It's LFATV.us or JeremyHerald.com/store. Jeremy is coming up next with Live from America. Should be a great 2 hours coming up right here on LFA TV. Hit that thumbs up button before you leave and make sure you hit the follow button, of course, before you go as well. As President Trump says, we will never give up, we will never give in, we will never ever surrender, and if all else fails, we'll just become ungovernable. Thank you, God bless you, God bless this one nation under God indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I'll see you on Newsmax this afternoon at around 6:30. I'll be on 3 to 6 Eastern Time on 1210 WPHT with Tony Bruno for WPHT Afternoons. It'll be a great time this afternoon on radio. You could follow on YouTube also at youtube.com/1210WPHT. See you there a little bit later today. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow. Bang gavel. Thank you for your attention to this matter.